Alright, it looks like we are off. So, once again, this is The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. This is one of the two games for the Game Boy Color. It's part of a pair. This is the more action-y driven one. Ages is the more puzzly driven one. Looks like qdoe forgot to start his timer, but that's fine. So both of these runners are going to be playing on the Japanese version, partly because Japanese text is faster than English text, but there's also a few benefits to playing on Japanese as well. One of which is there's an exclusive glitch in Dungeon 2, where the mini-boss can be fought without actually spawning him, and also on resets, so anytime you save and quit, it's slightly faster than English because there's a different screen that pops up on English. So the intro, there's really not a whole lot going on. Link gets transported to this mysterious land. He meets a bunch of travelers who are drinking, having a good time, playing some music, and they got this girl that's dancing for them. This girl happens to be Din, the Oracle of Seasons. And General Onyx, who is the guy that looks like a bugle, he goes and captures Din in a crystal, and that causes the seasons to be put into disarray. So the Temple of Seasons, which you see now, is being sunk into the underground, and all the seasons are going to be out of whack. So you don't really know where seasons are going to be. It's going to be pretty random looking. But for the most part, default seasons for areas are static, except for inside the town. So in the town, it's a random season every time that you enter, and that's going to become important for our runners as they come back to town after going to the beach here. So going to the beach, there's a cave on the shore that has a little bit of a puzzle. It's just like a tutorial that teaches you how to push blocks and, navigate pits and fight enemies. And at the end of it, the runners are going to be getting the sword. After getting the sword, they're going to be heading back to town. And what they want to do is they want to make sure they don't get winter. And I'll explain that in a little bit. But you just saw Herreteman do the first save and quit. And if you are familiar with this game, you know that the save and quit menu has three options. There's continue, save and continue, and then save and quit. But if you notice what they're doing is they're actually hitting save and continue. And then they're doing the soft reset, which is A, B, start, and select at the same time. That is just a little bit faster than doing save and quit each time, and that adds up over the course of the entire run. And now, Herreteman has made it back into the town, and he did not get winter. If you notice his path through the town, he's going to be taking this high road and passing by this heart piece. This area gets blocked off in winter with a giant pile of snow. So whatever they do, they want to avoid that because going around that pile of snow is very time consuming. And that takes him to the Husbando tree, who gives you the key to the first dungeon. So they're going to be heading up to the first dungeon, and And you'll probably notice something about this if you've played the original Legend of Zelda. This outside looks quite similar to the first dungeon in that game. And that's for a good reason, because this game originally started off as a remake of Zelda 1. So they actually kept a few Easter eggs in the game as a nod to Zelda 1. After this game, you know, it turned into its own thing. They still kept a few things, like the little bridge and fruit tree thing as the entrance to the dungeon. And if they pull up the map, you would actually notice that the map for Dungeon 1 is in the shape of an eagle, which is the original layout for level 1 in the original game. And in Dungeon 1 is where we're going to start seeing our first route deviation. Herreteman looks like he's going for the Power Ring level 2 minute. So, there's a couple different rings that they can get. They don't have to get any rings, but sometimes some of the rings are a little bit faster or safer. The Power Ring level 2 increases damage by 2. So it just adds 2 to any attack that you do with the sword. One of the main things about it is it increases your damage output. But the manipulation that he's going to be doing after Dungeon 1 is he's also going to get a potion. Potions are essentially like a fairy in other Zelda games, where as soon as you die, you get refilled to full health. So that's like what Herreteman is going to be trying to do. There's another ring that runners like to get. It's called the Heart Ring level 2, which as you walk around, it refills health. So 1 heart for like every like 15 steps or something. So it helps you survive a little bit, but it's not, you know, it doesn't help you speed things up through attack power. But yeah, Herreteman, he made his way through the Guerrilla Brothers, which is the first mini-boss, and got the first dungeon item, which is the Seed Satchel. The Seed Satchel comes pre-equipped with 20 Ember Seeds, which can be used to light torches, set enemies ablaze, and otherwise be pretty cool. And after collecting the boss key, he's going to do a hard reset. Reason for doing a hard reset is because that sets the RNG value to a known position. And from there, he can actually manipulate the RNG by doing certain actions throughout the game. As long as he mashes his way through the title screen, because RNG rolls every frame on the title screen. And then once he's in the game, it's pretty static unless you like swing your sword, screen transition, enemy movement, things like that. But as long as you like take pretty much the same path and you do the same actions, you're gonna get pretty much the same result. Looks like qdoe is not going for the manipulation here. The main thing about this manipulation is, one, it allows you to get the perfect fight for the first boss. There's 2 different patterns he can do. He can either just walk slowly and shoot fireballs, or he can charge the left-hand side of the screen and then slowly fly back to the right-hand side where you can't even hit him while he's flying. And it just wastes a lot of time. Then Herreteman, he just did the manipulation for the Power Ring, so he continued that manipulation outside of the dungeon, and he got Maple. Maple spawns after 30 kills. So every 30 kills, there's certain screens where she can spawn on. And one of the things that she can do is she can drop rings. One of the rings happens to be the power ring level 2. And he got it, but he's not going to equip it right away. He has to go to the ring shop and get it appraised before he can equip it. He's gonna opt to wait until after Dungeon 2 to do that, because that's the most optimal time. And now, we get to meet Rosa, the guy with the bow. Rosa is pretty shy. She doesn't want Link to follow her, so you gotta do some little hide and seek, and she's gonna unwillingly show you the secret entrance into Subrosa. Subrosa is the underground world of Oracle Seasons, and in Subrosa is where the Temple of Seasons has fallen to. So they're going to be heading over to the Temple of Seasons and picking up the Rod of Seasons, which allows them to manipulate seasons. But one of the things about the Rosa hide and seek is there's a couple different patterns she can do. The RNG manipulation actually gives you the fastest pattern if you do it correctly. Another thing is that they're also going to need 10 rupees by the end of Dungeon 2 in order to do a boxing match for some boxing gloves. And the manipulation that Herreteman did for the power ring already gave him enough rupees, but if he did the other manipulation, he would have burned the signs in the hide and seek area, which if you do that manipulation, you'll get enough rupees for that. I don't believe qdoe has gotten 10 rupees yet. I think I saw he had 8, which means he still needs to get a few rupees, but there's still plenty of time for that. So after coming into Subrosa, he gets the Rod of Seasons, and then he's got to charge it up. The Rod of Seasons comes with no charges. You gotta go to the towers in the temple, and you gotta go to the fairies there, and they're going to imbue the rod with the different seasons that it can change. The first one that you can reach is the Season of Winter. Main thing about Season of Winter is that snow appears. So big piles of snow appear, and some of it you can climb on. It also freezes water, so you can walk on frozen water. And it also kills trees. So trees are dead in winter, and ones that take up 2 different tiles, eventually, in winter, they'll take up 1 tile and create new pathways. And Herreteman is going to be continuing his manipulation throughout this area. He's going to be trying to keep this manipulation going, because the next area he's heading to is the Moblin Road. And Moblin Road is very notorious for being annoying. And the reason being is because Moblins have pinpoint accuracy, and they'll snipe you from across the screen like it's nothing. as you can see on Herreteman's screen, because looks like he did drop the manipulation at some point. So part of the extended manipulation is to manipulate the patterns of these moblins so that you really don't have a hard time getting through this area. And it looks like after that you go and drop down a chimney, and this girl thinks that you're Santa Claus, so she gives you a shovel. I thought it was milk and cookies, but apparently in this world, you give shovels to Santa Claus. I don't know. And one of the interesting things about this game is there's a lot of like equip management. So you saw them on the screen with the tree where they grab the mystery seeds, which are the green seeds that they just got, and there's a white fade out, and if you pause during that white fade out and your equip's there, it actually allows you to start moving slightly faster than if you paused anywhere else, because there's a little bit of delay when you move out of a white fade out transition. And just like knowing when to do the equips is part of the route here. And now in Dungeon 2, if they were to continue the manipulation all the way, they would have taken it all the way to the room with the power bracelet and manipulated the two moblins that are on the left-hand side of that pit that you can't get across. And that just saves a little bit of time and a little bit of trolling if they decide not to come close to you. But after that, you really can't continue the manipulation any further, so at this point, it's just about playing the game again. But both of the runners drop manip pretty early on, so they've just been reacting to RNG throughout most of this. And so it looks like qdoe is still 1 rupee short. He's gonna need to get another rupee before he finishes this dungeon in order to not have to worry about farming rupees outside. Unless, of course, he goes for the heart ring manipulation, which does guarantee that you get more rupees through that. We'll have to see what he does. You'll do the heart ring manipulation after Dungeon 2, and because there's a maple spawn on the one screen to the left of the entrance. No, it looks like he's gonna grab the 10 rupee chest, just to guarantee that he has enough. And now qdoe is into the Facade mini-boss. You won't be seeing Facade because that is the exclusive glitch in Japanese version where his hitbox is available from the start. And as long as you just throw bombs at the middle of the screen, you're just gonna hit him. And you don't have to actually activate the fight. Which is very nice because he has some really awful patterns and really costs you a lot of time. And yeah, I'm not sure if the timers are actually accurate right now. I know qdoe did start his timer late, so I don't know if they fixed the timer or if it's someone just thought they were desync and tried to resync it. So now qdoe is into Dodongo. Dodongo, he's interesting. Like normal Dodongos, you have to throw bombs into his mouth. But unlike other Dodongos, he really dislikes spikes more than bombs. So the main thing you have to do is you have to throw him onto the spike pit. I'm not really familiar with qdoe's fight here. Normally you want to keep him in the upper right corner, and you can use him, you can manipulate his movement to bounce off the wall and kind of shorten his movement throughout. As you can see Herreteman doing right now. So it looks like qdoe is opting to go ringless, because he didn't do the manipulation for the heart ring. So one of the advantages of going ringless is, of course, you're not going to waste the time of going and manipulating the ring and then going and appraising the ring. However, what the disadvantage is, you're not going to get that bonus effect of the ring. So you're going to see Herreteman going into the ring shop and appraising his power ring level 2. While qdoe, he's headed up to North Horon. He grabs scent seeds from the tree, and now he's going to fight a penguin for some boxing gloves. That the boxing gloves were originally stolen from the boxing kangaroo. And now he's gonna go give them back to him. So one of the things to keep note of on Herreteman's side is he's going to be equipping and unequipping his power ring every time that he wants to do combat, and every time that he wants to just do general movement. Because the drawback of the power ring level 2 is that you take more damage. So if you keep it equipped all the time, you're just going to take a ton of damage and potentially die. But by, you know, equipping it when he needs it, he'll be able to preserve his health as much as possible. And that's another one of the minor drawbacks of the power ring, is that in order to really get effective use out of it, you have to keep toggling it on and off, and that just costs you time as you do that. Even though it does save you time in the long run because of the power that you get from it. So I didn't really explain most of the seeds that we've gotten so far, other than Ember Seeds, which burn things. Mystery Seeds, they take the properties of other seeds. So you have all these other different types of seeds. Mystery has a random chance of becoming any one of them. Scent Seeds, you drop it on the ground and it creates an aroma that enemies will be attracted to. Or, if you just drop it on an enemy itself, it actually does damage to them. And then, the seeds that qdoe and Herreteman just got are the Pegasus Seeds. Pegasus Seeds take the effect of like the Pegasus boots in other games, and it increases Link's running speed. And this effect actually lasts for a set period of time, and you don't actually have to keep the seeds equipped. You can activate the effect and then just equip things over it. So you can get some really interesting combos with Pegasus Seeds and other items. And the main thing about this game is you're going to be seeing a lot of Pegasus Seeds, because they gotta go fast. And also, they are using their animal companion, Ricky the Kangaroo, to hop around, climb up cliffs, hop over small gaps. Ricky is probably the worst animal companion in the game. Unfortunately, he's also the fastest one, because you don't have to go out of your way to get him. The other two animals that you can get, they take a little bit of time to get, and it is slower. But yeah, Ricky's movement is really wonky. He likes to just like hop at random intervals, and then like if you're not perfectly lined up with the screen transition, he'll do like a mini hop before you can actually transition, and it's really annoying. So the next Subrosa section, they have to dig up the star ore. qdoe got third try. There's one spot on each of these 4 beach screens that the star ore can be dug up from. Both of them getting it third try. Take that star ore to the shop to get the bow, because somehow Rosa lost her bow. And you have to go give it back to her, and it's time to go on a speed date. So, qdoe, he's speed dating Rosa right now. The main thing you need to know is you gotta go fast. Just gotta run through this entire date, take her to the tower, and make sure she uses her skeleton key on the tower. Because that's the only way we can actually achieve our goal. So that takes us to the Tower of Summer. So Summer has a couple effects. The main one that is going to be important in this run is that vines grow, and now unreachable cliffs or unreachable caves can have vines growing up to them, and you can now reach them. The other effect that it has is that lakes will get drained in summer, but we don't really worry about that too much in this run. It's useful in a linked run, but not in any percent. And now, for the best part about ending a date, is always leave your date next to an actively erupting volcano. And now we will never see Rosa again, because she is now dead. No, it's not true. Rosa's still alive. We just had to dump her because we have other important things to do. So with the season of summer in hand, we can now reach Dungeon 3, which is the Poison Moth's Lair. I wonder what the boss of this dungeon is going to be. So the spike beetles that qdoe just fought, normally you're supposed to use the shield to knock them over, but for whatever reason, the shovel allows you to do the same thing. So you can actually skip the shield altogether, which is very nice because we don't really get the shield anyway. Because it's not really useful for anything else. And qdoe is in the worst room in the game. The reason it's called the worst room in the game is because it is the worst room in the game. Because those floor masters are awful. And if you get grabbed by a floor master, you get sent back to the beginning of the dungeon. And it's awful. That's really all I have to say about that. But you can actually manipulate the hands in here. It's called hands manip. Every certain interval, the hands spawn. And where they spawn is actually determined by what direction you're pressing on the D-pad. So, if you just have a feel for when they spawn, you can just press in like the opposite direction that you're going, and have them spawn behind you, and they'll just never get in your way. But you have to have pretty good timing in order to do it. And qdoe, he just completed the first season's puzzle. Very difficult puzzle. This game is known for its puzzles. Like, I don't know how some people can actually figure out these puzzles. They're ridiculous. And his reward for making his way through here and killing those mimics is the Rock's Feather, making its return from Link's Awakening, allowing Link to jump. Now, jumping is fun on its own, but when you add in Pegasus Seeds, now that's when jumping gets really fun. So now, with the Rock's Feather, this game essentially turns into a platformer. We got a nice side-scrolling area, we got some stuff that we can jump on. There's even a trampoline. You can take that trampoline, push it around, and actually take it to the floor above you. And to answer the question in chat, why, yes, you can jump upstairs. This is not LADX, where there is no Z-axis. There is an actual Z-axis, so your height gets counted. So jumping lets you jump over the stairs, and you can actually hit things with the Z-axis. That might come into play a little bit later on. Mostly it'll come into play in Dungeon 6, because that's usually where things will happen like that. So about the language, they're playing in Japanese because it's faster. Really, that's the main thing. Japanese text is a little bit faster. There's less characters that need to be drawn on screen. And there's an exclusive glitch in Dungeon 2, which lets the mini-boss be killed before actually spawning the fight. And also, the save and quit screens are a little bit faster because there's a different screen on English versus Japanese, and the English one is a little bit slower. So, qdoe, fighting some squids. They're definitely not kids. This is definitely where Nintendo got the idea for Splatoon. All the way back in 2001, they knew what they were going to do with Splatoon. They were like, dude, we got these squids, but they're actually kids. But like, we can't do this until technology progresses like a good 15 years. So after the mini-boss, qdoe goes and grabs the boss key, and now he's going to head over to the boss room. Now, back at the beginning of this dungeon, I told you the name of the dungeon was Poison Moth's Lair. So did you expect the boss to be Mothula? I bet you didn't. I bet you thought it was something completely random. But yeah, it's actually a poison moth. And, ooh, qdoe falling in the fight. So, if you fall down in the middle of the fight, Mothula's health gets reset. So you have to do this fight all the way from the start. Oh, and falling again. So this is giving Herreteman plenty of opportunity to catch back up. Assuming that he actually is behind, because I don't know if the timers are actually accurate. But, Herreteman, first one finishing up Mothula here. qdoe clutching it out with a quarter heart. That was some Monka S right there. Jangler's spoiling one of the dungeons later on. Gosh. I was gonna do that again, dude. Ruining my jokes. Nobody look at chat, okay? So, after the dungeon, you notice that a lot of the runners, they use up pretty much all their seeds in Dungeon 3. And that's part of seed management. Because they know that they're going to be coming straight back to the tree right outside the dungeon, they might as well just use up all the seeds and then get a refill as they come out. And that allows them to just keep going fast all the time. And part of this game is just knowing how many seeds you need to use, how many you need to have, when you can refill them, etc, etc. And in this area that they're both in right now with Ricky is called the Natsu Plains. And this area changes depending on which animal companion you have. For Ricky, there's a bunch of cliffs and little holes. But the main thing that they want to do here is they want to kill the buzz blobs. And killing these buzz blobs has potential to drop seeds. what they want to do is they want to get 1 Scent Seed drop and 1 Pegasus Seed drop, which allows them to have maxed out Pegasus Seeds and Scent Seeds for later on. Oh, is this the prairie? I always get plains and prairie mixed up. But yeah, there's the plains, prairie, and river, which amount to the 3 different animal companions. Speaking of animal companions, we're about to see our second animal companion, Dimitri. Dimitri's cool. He's a swimming Dodongo, but in order to actually befriend him, you have to give some kids explosives. In order to let them, like, tell them to stop harassing them. Is it Wasteland? I'm messing the names up all the time. Okay, forget what I said. Just listen to Jangler. He knows more. So yeah, Dimitri, he swims up waterfalls, which is pretty cool. But you have to give bombs to these little kids in order to actually let him ride you, or let you ride him. And then you go up this waterfall, you do a little puzzle, which gets you the Master card, which lets you buy flippers from this guy who's just chilling in this cave. And he's like, if you got a Master card, I'll let you take these flippers. But yeah, it's really the Master's plaque, but it looks like a MasterCard, so you gotta buy the flippers from him. And the flippers allow Link to swim, just like every other Zelda game where flippers are a thing. And swimming allows you to take a secret passage into the next area, which brings you back to Subrosa. Except, this time when you enter Subrosa, you get ambushed. You get ambushed by these 2 dudes, and they take your feather, and instead give you this Fool's Ore. Now, Fool's Ore is pretty interesting in that it's a really strong weapon. It's one of the strongest weapons in the game. But unfortunately, there's no way to take it out of Subrosa. Because it takes up the same inventory spot as your feather. And the only way to leave is by jumping across the river of the lava thing that you came out of. So you gotta follow them, do some hide and seek, get your feather back. This is usually the time where runners are just super bored and they start doing random things. Like, some runners will dig the shape of a P on some screens. Some runners will do interesting things, like Herreteman just started digging and he dug up a fire pillar, and he got to show off the Fool's Ore, which killed the fire pillar in 1 shot. But yeah, the pattern that they take is always the same every single time. So runners just like to fool around here, and if you get caught, you have to start from the beginning. Which shouldn't be a problem for any runner ever. I mean, it's the same exact thing every time. Why would you ever get caught? Let alone get caught a couple times. Like, it's never happened before. So, Herrete, he is going over to the left, or right over here, and he's grabbing that boulder. That's going to become important later on as a shortcut to get back to this area, because that boulder doesn't respawn. And that's going to leave that area open to progress through later on. And he's going to double back and head to the next tower, which is the Tower of Spring. So Spring has another couple things that happen during it. The main thing is that there's flowers. So flowers bloom. There's certain flowers that only bloom in spring, and in other seasons they're rocks for whatever reason. I don't know. Nintendo logic. And then there's also the best name in the game, most likely. I haven't actually looked at all of the like item and enemy names, but the Blast Blooms, which are like the Deku flowers from Majora's Mask, where they suck you in and spit you out, and that allows you to climb cliffs that normally you can't go up. And Herreteman, he just did the Rooster Clip. So Rooster Clip is something that you can do by wall clipping into a mushroom, and you just have enough distance that you can grab the rooster through the rocks, and that just saves just a tiny bit of time. But there is a risk to the Rooster Clip in that if you don't do that during the season of spring, you get stuck in that area with the banana. And that's because the flowers at the bottom, they are spring flowers, and they turn to rocks in any other season. And after getting the banana, Herrete, he has now gotten the best animal companion in the game, Moosh, the flying bear. He can fly pretty far. He's really cool. He's blue. And yeah, that's about all you're gonna see of Moosh, unfortunately. The only use he has is to get the key for Dungeon 4. And I didn't actually notice if Herrete got bombs. Yes, he did. I saw it on his inventory there. So after giving the bombs to the kids to get Dimitri, you end up with 0 bombs. And you actually need bombs in pretty much the beginning of Dungeon 4. So the way to get bombs back is either through the spring flowers, they have a chance of dropping bombs, or the moblins outside of Dungeon 4 can give you bombs as well. But if all of that fails, you can get bombs from a chest at the very beginning of Dungeon 4. So Dungeon 4 has some really awesome music. So I'm gonna, not talk too much in here. Herrete is gonna be heading into the pot pushing room. This room looks really slow. That's because it is. But also because there's really no way to make this look fast. The optimal thing you can do is really just to start pushing the next pot as soon as the first pot you push starts moving. Because it'll move all the way across the tile as soon as it starts to move. Did Herrete get the key? I don't think he did. That's gonna be a problem, I think. He did most of the work, but looks like he didn't get the key. So he's gonna find out later on that he's gonna be in a bit of a pickle. And he's probably not gonna remember that he didn't get the key there. Because he's gonna remember, oh, I went into the pot room and I pushed all the pots. So this is a golden opportunity for qdoe. And Herrete falling in the 2D section into the spikes. Gotta be careful, because getting back is pretty tricky, and he lost quite a bit of health. This is a very, very interesting turn of events. I'm wondering exactly when Herrete will realize that he forgot a key. But meanwhile, qdoe making his way through the pot room. He got the key. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He might be able to get all the way to that last key block, which will be really unfortunate. Herrete looking for health, not finding it, because he's about to come up to the mini-boss, but in order to get to the mini-boss, he's going to have to go through a pretty dangerous room with a bunch of spikes. So we'll see if he can actually make it there. Okay, he's through. Just gotta worry about the mini-boss now. So, the mini-boss, his name is Agunima. He splits himself into 3 copies. You gotta light the torches in order to figure out which one is the real one. The real one has a shadow underneath him. The others do not. And with his trusty power ring, he's able to dispatch him very quickly. And by going through that cracked floor maze, he picks up his slingshot. So now, before where, you know, you just use the seeds, now you can start shooting seeds at things. And now they have a few different properties. Of course, ember seeds still burn things, they do damage to enemies. Scent seeds are pretty much just general ammunition. They'll just do damage to enemies. Did Herrete wait long enough to save and quit there? I don't know if my stream just lagged a little bit and he didn't actually light that last torch, or if he save and quit too soon. We'll find out when he goes back to try and get that chest. he's gonna find out right here that he's missing a key. Now, let's see how he recovers. Let's see if he knows exactly which key. He's heading straight there. So my guess is he does know that it is the pot key. Yeah, he's probably like smacking himself for forgetting to finish this room. But meanwhile, qdoe quickly catching back up. Back to his slingshot. He's gonna be doing the torch room. Lighting the torches, saving and quitting. And now we've got a race. They are neck and neck. Another thing to keep in mind is that they're going to be wanting to have as many seeds as possible for the boss here, because they're going to want to use them. qdoe getting the swag jump first try. The one shot at glory, as I like to call it. The reason I call it the one shot at glory is if you use your seed as soon as you exit the minecart, you get one shot at it and still have enough juice left on your seed to go it normally. Already just opting to go normal, getting this boss key. The qdoe making his way through. He equipped his gale seeds into his slingshot. The reason you equip gale seeds is because these wizards, they're not fun to kill with a sword. They're also not fun to kill in general. But you can just shoot gale seeds at them and it'll just take them off the battlefield and you don't have to worry about them. And qdoe about to head into the Goma fight, where he's going to be using his scent seeds to try and hit Goma's eye. You wanna try and line up on the correct horizontal position in order to avoid hitting the claw, and that just allows you to avoid going into phase 2 altogether. So normally what you do is you use your sword and destroy the claw, and that sends Goma into phase 2, where you just have to shoot the eye 5 times. But if you just line up perfectly, you can actually hit the eye around the claw, and that takes 15 shots. So that's why they want to have as much ammo as possible. Both of them getting relatively decent fights here. So after completing Dungeon 4, they're going to be grabbing the Pyramid Jewel right outside. We didn't really talk about the jewels earlier. There's 4 different jewels scattered throughout the overworld, and you need all 4 of them in order to get to Dungeon 6. Obviously, since we're right outside of Dungeon 4 right now, and right by that jewel, it's the best time to grab that one. Same with the square jewel that we got earlier in the swamp. But just grabbing them as we go is the best part of going through this without having, you know, go back and get them later. And now they're going to be heading into Subrosa once again, going to be getting the bomb flower, which allows them to get to the final tower in the Temple of Seasons, which lets them get to the season of autumn. Can't say season for whatever reason, I don't know. But yeah, they're gonna head up to get autumn. Autumn is used for ripening mushrooms that are normally stone in other seasons, because that's what happens to mushrooms. And also, certain holes get covered up by leaves, which allow Link to walk over them for a short period of time. But we don't actually utilize that mechanic in the run. There is a spot that you're supposed to do it, but there's a way around it. So, with the season of autumn in tow, it's time to head back to the overworld and head to Dungeon 5. So one of the interesting quirks about the mushrooms, you'll see in a couple screens coming up on qdoe's side, he's going to be lifting some mushrooms out of his way, but he's going to throw them off screen. And the reason being is there can only be one mushroom on, one thrown mushroom on screen at a time. So you can't lift up another mushroom until the first one disappears. So the quickest way to get rid of it is to just throw it off the side of the screen. And now they are in Dungeon 5, which is called the Unicorn's Cave. So I wonder what kind of boss to expect from this dungeon. So, qdoe and Herreteman heading through, they're going to be following this path along and eventually reaching the item of the dungeon, which is the magnet glove. So magnet gloves are a unique item to this game, where you equip it and it has a polarity associated with it. So you see that little S next to the glove that turned to an N. on qdoe's side. That just tells you which polarity your glove is associated with at the moment. So it can swap back and forth and allows you to attract and repel off of other polarized things. qdoe looks like he's going for impossible jump. Is this actually a thing? I think he is. Yeah, he's trying. He really wants to get impossible jump. So you can actually jump across this gap, and it's pretty difficult to do. He's given it a few tries. Getting bobbed by a Moldorm on his way back, that's unfortunate. But you can get an idea of how the magnet gloves work by attracting opposite polarity and repelling against the same polarity. And Herreteman, he just finished up the Armos room. qdoe's heading in there now. The way this room works is there's 4 Armos statues. After you kill all 4 of them, 4 chests spawn, and you have to open all 4 chests in the order that you killed the Armos statues. So you just have to remember which way you killed them, and then the last chest is always going to be the key. And now it's time to do some cleanup. They're going to be taking a couple different paths through this dungeon. There's a lot of little branching paths that you have to take, and each one either has a key or something that you need to do. One of the neat little things about this, those spinning magnet platforms is the spinning ones actually allow you to walk on air for about half a second. So that allows you to get a nice little jump out of the magnet platform. Whereas the static ones, the ones that aren't spinning or moving or anything, you have exactly 1 frame to jump. Luckily you can buffer that, but it can be quite annoying if you go for unbuffered. And so Herreteman, he has come into the mini-boss, who is Siger the Tiger, and with his power ring level 2, makes very quick work of the mini-boss here. And you can actually skip about half the dungeon by just damage boosting through the wall of fire. Normally you're supposed to go all the way to the right and take a bunch of rooms and move this little magnet ball just like a couple tiles away, so that you can actually grab it from that side and then you can manipulate it so that it blocks the fire. But just a quick damage boost and a Pegasus Seed jump and you get right through. And you can also see a couple other cool little side-scrolling areas that utilize the magnet glove. And now Herreteman, he's in the what is affectionately known as the Hope Is Not Lost room, right before the boss of Dungeon 5, which, if you guessed it, is not a unicorn. Not a unicorn. Dig Dogger He is not a unicorn. Poison Moth's lair. Poison Moth. Unicorn's cave. Not a unicorn. So the way Dig Dogger fight works is you got a big spiked metal ball, and you use the magnet glove to manipulate that ball. You can, you know, pull it close to you, push it away, and you just want to bash it into the Dig Dogger as many times as you can. And then eventually it'll split into a bunch of little Dig Dogger pups, and you just gotta run them over. It's incredibly brutal the way you fight this boss. And qdoe heading in now. One of the other things about this boss is that if you take too long once he splits into a bunch of little pups, he actually reforms into the big guy, and you gotta do it all again. So I think Herreteman actually got that in one cycle, which was nice. qdoe, unfortunately, not getting the full one cycle, so he's gonna have to deal with another cycle of this. Meanwhile, Herreteman, he is into his cleanup phase of the Overworld jewels, so he's going to be heading to the beach. He's going to be shooting this torch with mystery seeds. Like I said before, mystery seeds take on the properties of a random seed, so there is a very small chance that he can shoot all of his mystery seeds and not get the effect that he wants, which is the Ember Seed effect. But the reason he equips the Mystery Seeds is because he needs those seeds to be used against the question mark on the next screen, which releases the Black Beast, which is just a mini Moldorm that you've fought millions of times before. It's very disappointing. But yeah, once he has all 4 of the jewels, that opens up the way into the ruins. If you notice what shape the 4 jewels are in, you might get an idea of what kind of ruins we're going to. That's right, we're going to the PlayStation ruins. No, not really. It's called the Tarm Ruins. They've got, again, like, some really awesome music. And this is like the first time that you're supposed to have all 4 seasons. So this is where you start getting some really interesting season puzzles, like having to change the seasons multiple times in order to manipulate things. And this is where the Lost Woods reside. Lost Woods in this game, you have to change the season and go in a certain direction. There's 2 solutions that they're going to be doing. The first one is actually a sequence break of sorts. They're supposed to be doing the trading sequence, where you get an item, you trade it for another item, etc, etc. At the end, you go to this Deku Scrub, and he gives you a hint. That hint is, hey, you can get to the level 2 sword by going coldest to hottest in the Lost Woods to the left 4 times. So you just do that, and you get the level 2 sword. And then in order to get to the area with level Dungeon 6, you have to do the same exact kind of thing, where you change the season coldest to hottest, but then you go counterclockwise, starting from the left, and then ending at the top. And there's another Deku Scrub that tells you how you're supposed to get here as well. just another quick little puzzle to get up here. You have to move the Armos out of the way so that you can jump back up in spring with the Blast Bloom. And that brings Herreteman into Dungeon 6. Now, Dungeon 6 is full of traps. This is like the Indiana Jones dungeon of this game. So, there's a lot of things trying to kill you. A lot of traps, a lot of blades, a lot of enemies, a lot of things just meant to like use you and attack you. Rooms that look very similar, but actually are completely different rooms. There's a spinner, which everyone loves spinners. That restricts your movement throughout this dungeon. And of course, no dungeon is complete without magnet ball puzzles, because that's fun. And Herreteman actually did a save and quit after getting that small key, which allowed him to skip another small key. Normally, in order to get back to the spinner, get back to this side of the dungeon, you have to open a key block, and in order, if you just do a save and quit, you actually don't have to open that key block at all. And already opting to use the Gale Seeds to get rid of those spiked beetles, that's a pretty interesting strat there that I might steal myself. That leads him into the Dungeon 6 item, which is the level 2 boomerang. Level 2, you wonder, right? Well, we skipped the level 1 boomerang. In order to get the level 1 boomerang, you're supposed to do Subrosa dancing. Everyone's favorite minigame. And you're supposed to do that, like, way back at the, like, beginning of the game. Remember when you went into the Tower of Winter way back after Dungeon 1? Yeah, you're supposed to use the boomerang to get through there, but a bomb lets you just get in there just fine, so you can just skip the boomerang altogether, and then as soon as you get here, boom, you got the level 2. Now level 2 is pretty cool because you can control it with the D-pad. So you just hold the button down and then you use the D-pad to control where it goes. And what's interesting about it is that on the way out, anything it touches, it'll just immediately come back to you. But if you pass something and then start hitting things on the way back, it'll just phase through everything. And you can start hitting like multiple things all at once with that. And it's gonna be really useful for the boss of this dungeon. But meanwhile, we got a traditional Indiana Jones escape sequence. You grab the fake rupee and the walls start closing in. You gotta quickly get out of there. Herrete is quickly approaching the Dungeon 6 mini-boss. His name is Vire. He is one of the henchmen of General Onyx, and he's very annoying. He has a couple patterns. The main one that you want is you want him to just like dive bomb you in the middle of the screen. There's a couple other patterns. There's one where he just pokes his head in on the edge of the screen and shoots a fireball, or there's the other one where he just circles slowly around and shoots a couple fireballs. The one where he circles around, it's possible to hit him, but it's kind of difficult. You have to kind of like jump and time your spin slash just right in order to hit him. Or you can poke him sometimes. But Herrete's getting kind of trolled by his patterns, getting a lot of the corner pokes. And then at the very end, he turns into two bats. The two bats, they actually are flying, so you have to jump and hit them. Which is where the Z-axis comes in from the feather. You can't actually hit them from the ground. And you actually can. Eventually they'll swoop and hit you on the ground, but it's slow, so it's better to just jump and hit them. Now, Herrete's got the best puzzle in the game. 2 buttons. 50% chance of spawning the staircase. It took him, what, like 4 tries? Yeah, 50% chance. It's still better than the puzzle in 8 inches. Like, that one is just awful. So qdoe, grabbing his boss key, he's going to be headed up to Vire very shortly, while Herrete is about to enter the boss of this dungeon, Manhandla. Now Manhandla has 4 faces. Each of those faces open up randomly, essentially. You want to hit as many of them as possible with the boomerang. So you want to shoot the boomerang around, and then on the way back, you want to hit the face so that you hit as many open as possible. And I just lost my stream. Let me just reload and see if that works. So my commentary stream is not working right now. So my commentary is going to be a little delayed right now. I'm going to go off of the actual restream on my phone. So Herrete, he's finished up Dungeon 6. He's going to be heading into Subrosa, onto the pirates. by talking to the pirates, he's going to open up access to the desert. In the desert, he's going to be needing to find the trusty bell that the pirate captain has lost. So the trusty bell is somewhere in the desert, and you have to go find it. See if reloading the commentary stream does anything. Nope. Yeah, commentary stream is dead right now, it looks like. So, in the desert, there are 4 different sand pits that can potentially have the trusty bell. You have to carry the skull around, and he'll tell you which one you can fall down, and it'll give you the bell. So, looks like Herrete didn't get first try or second try. Looks like he's actually gonna get 4th try, unfortunately. You can tell that it's the right one when the skull starts yapping. He doesn't react to the wrong ones. So meanwhile, qdoe, he is taking on Manhandla, finishing him up. Getting through there nicely. And now, Herrete, unfortunately, the trusty bell is a little bit rusty right now. So, he's gonna have to go get that polished up. And the best place to do that is actually in Subrosa. There's a blacksmithy shop in here. And the blacksmith, he'll polish it up for you. But he doesn't really like people that are polite. So if you say please, he's not gonna do it. But if you yell at him and just say, do it, he'll polish it up for you. And then after getting the trusty bell polished, you can then utilize that shortcut that we made earlier in order to get back to the pirate captain and give him his bell back. So qdoe might be able to make up a little bit of time on Herrete, depending on what try bell he gets. But right now, Herrete is into the pirate cutscene, so make sure to drop your favorite pirate emote in the chat. This time, the pirate cutscene is generally the time where things are kind of relaxed. There's not much going on. You still have to mash through some text, but yeah, there's not a whole lot going on. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the commentary stream stuff. But I usually use the pirate cutscene update to just reflect on the run. Figure out what's going on, get ready for the gauntlet at the end, because you got 2 of the hardest tricks left in Dungeon 7 and Dungeon 8, and then you have the final boss. So you gotta just, you know, calm yourself, get ready to finish strong. So Herrete making the jump over to the graveyard. He's going to be heading into Dungeon 7. So in Dungeon 7, there's a pretty unique mechanic where there's these Poes, these ghosts that are possessing certain rooms, and these rooms have 4 torches. And if all 4 torches go out while Link is in the room, they'll grab you and send you back to the entrance, sort of like a Wall Master does. Normally, you would have to go around and kill them, but what you can do is actually get past the first Poe. You can get past the first Poe by doing a series of precise inputs. And you can just skip through that first Poe. I'll try my best to like catch up on commentary now, because we do have the stream back up for me. Looks like Herreteman, he did get through. He did Poe skip, which is what it's called, and he is now into the 2nd floor. That does 2 things. It skips killing the Poe, as well as it saves a key, so he doesn't need to get another key later on. He did the first round of the Armos statue puzzle. There's, you know, a bunch of Armos statues, and one of them is real, the rest are, like, enemies, so you just have to find the real one, push onto the button, etc, etc, make your way around to this area with the Magunesus, which are the magnet enemies, and you do that, and blah blah blah, and I'm trying to just like quickly make my way through this. So you get a key, get another key, and now you're back here. Which allows him to get to the 2nd Poe. Unfortunately, this Poe you cannot skip, because the room that it's possessing is full of water, and the only way through it is very, very slow, and like you can't swim fast enough to get through it before all 4 torches go out. But meanwhile, let's take a look at qdoe's side. So qdoe is about to do Poe skip. By pushing these rollers and pausing at certain times as the torches go out, you can give yourself just enough time in order to reach the stairs, and he gets it first try as well. Very nice. And Herreteman, he did a little trick with the Magnet Glove. Like you saw earlier with the pause buffering, since those magnet platforms were not moving, he had 1 frame in order to jump out of his magnet glove. And he used that to just get to the other side and skip that magnet room pretty much completely. And then fighting the Stalfos, and then doing a precise jump across the pit in order to get to the Rock's Feather. Normally there's another trampoline that you're supposed to take that takes you up a floor and you come back down and end up on the other side of the pit. But with a precise Pegasus Seed jump, you can just barely make it across. And now, Herrete is going to be entering the final Poe room, which you fight both Poe sisters at the same time. And this is at the actual mini-boss room. So defeating this creates that mini-boss warp that lets you get back here. And the reason I mentioned the mini-boss warp is because if you were to get sent back, you can either get sent back, you know, earlier from the first Poe, from the second Poe, if you happen to go through the water room for whatever reason, or even in that fight, if all 4 torches go out, you're back to the start. So you pretty much just want to guard 1 torch and just, you know, play goalie and don't let them score. But once you defeat the mini-boss, you're in the clear pretty much. There's a little neat thing, if you hold right when you go up there, you land on the platform every time. It's just like a neat little time saver. And now, with the boss key in hand, Herrete is going to be headed over to the boss room. The boss of Dungeon 7 is Gleeok. Gleeok has 2 different heads. You want to kill both heads pretty much around the same time, because otherwise they will... one head detaches before the other one, and then if you take too long, it'll reattach. And then after you kill both heads, the body becomes a zombie and starts attacking. But again, Power Ring just demolishes everything. So, Herrete, finishing up Dungeon 7, he's going to be headed over to the final area for Dungeon 8. This is a completely new area that we haven't been to before. You kind of need most of your equipment in order to actually access this area. It's called the Temple Remains, and it's where the Temple of Seasons would have been before it fell into Subrosa. And it looks like qdoe is just about finishing up the mini-boss, making his way through. Herrete is opting to use the shovel cancel on the bracelet, which is always fun to see a shovel cancel. And getting the zigzag jump first try. So, a while back I mentioned how in fall, the certain holes get covered by leaves. That zigzag jump that he did, you're supposed to turn the season to fall and they get covered by leaves. but with a Pegasus-seeded cape jump, you can just barely make it across the other side. I didn't really explain the cape because of the commentary stream issues. Cape is basically an upgrade to the feather. It's essentially your double jump. So you hold the button down and you jump a lot further. Or you can even release the button and press the button again at a later time to do essentially a double jump. So Herrete, he's going to be heading through a bunch of these cool caves. You can do a bunch of like really cool jumps to get through these rooms. And once he gets through them, he'll be headed to Dungeon 8. Meanwhile, qdoe finishing up Gleeok, getting stunned by Gleeok's body. So when Gleeok's body pounds the ground, if you're standing on the ground you get stunned, but if you jump you won't have to worry about it. Now Herrete has entered Dungeon. So Dungeon 8 is really interesting because there's a pretty big skip in here. After getting the first couple of keys and stuff, you're gonna see them opt for a strategy that you might not see in a casual playthrough. And that's called HSS skip, or Hyper Slingshot skip. The reason why they do this is, one, it skips about half the dungeon, and it skips the Hyper Slingshot, which is the dungeon's item, which is the upgrade to the regular slingshot. And you see Herrete doing a safety save, just in case, because the skip they're going to be doing is very resource heavy. So if he runs out of resources, he's going to just opt to soft reset and do it again. And what this is it's Pegasus Seed cape jump with a bomb boost over this pit onto the other side, and that skips you pretty much straight to the boss key. And it skips the mini boss, it skips the dungeon item, it skips pretty much half the dungeon itself. This dungeon is really split into two different areas. There's a fire area and an ice area. You pretty much skip almost all of the fire area with this jump. And it's incredibly precise, actually. It's sub-pixel manipulated, so you saw him fall into the pit, and then by doing a series of inputs, he can manipulate his sub-pixel so that his hitbox is moved over to the right as far as he can, so that he can make that jump a little bit easier, as well as setting up in a very specific pixel so that he throws the bomb at a specific time, jumps, gets hit by the bomb, and then does the double jump at another specific time in order to just barely make it all the way to the other side. Now this skip is the great equalizer. As you can see, qdoe is not very far behind at this point. If Herrete fails this skip a few more times, we might have a pretty close race on our hands. And so the way this works with the setup that he's using is that you want to throw the bomb and then you want to jump on the very last pixel that you can. And then once the bomb explodes, it'll explode into like this like comic booky pop art kind of explosion. And then that's when you want to do the double jump. Both the regular jump and the double jump are frame perfect, but you can sort of buffer it, as you can see him attempting to do. Unfortunately, this game doesn't have perfect pause buffering, so you can't buffer a menu into another menu. You have to actually time each and every pause. You see most runners, they go for save and quit buffers, and that's because you can just try the do one menu, but if you pause too early, you're just gonna completely miss that input, and you're gonna lose it all. But if you pause too early and then you're pressing select, it'll bring up the save and quit menu. So you just kind of stagger the two. Oh, qdoe getting it. I think that was first try, and now he is now in the lead. We have a very interesting turn of events. Herrete was leading this entire race, and now qdoe coming out of nowhere, taking the lead. And he didn't even set up his pixels. Like, that is, like, his subpixels. That is some real gutsy play from qdoe. This narrative is looking very familiar. It's looking a lot like his opening race against someone named Mashai? I don't know, dude. Like, this race is reminding me a lot of previous race that qdoe had, where he was trailing for quite a bit, and then HSS skip happened, and he just took the lead. Yeah, so Herrete, he's having a little bit of difficulty with HSS skip, which is understandable. HSS skip is not a very easy trick. It's an incredibly precise trick that it's actually quite impressive that qdoe got it first try. Of course, you know, there are some runners who are really good at that trick, that they get it within a couple tries pretty much all the time. So I'm not sure if qdoe Okay, he's going for that way. Because I know he went for the top left ice crystal earlier, so his minecart wasn't in the right position. But he knows what he needs to do, so he's good. By doing HSS skip, you actually skip having to worry about another key, and you skip doing the top right ice crystal as well. He's really close. He's just missing it by a frame or two each time. And that's just the way this game works. Buffering is not perfect, so getting these frame perfect tricks where you need to do it 2 different frame perfect inputs can be quite tricky. Especially in a race setting. So, qdoe, on to the final dungeon boss, Medusa Head. That's right. We got all these classic Zelda bosses, such as Dodongo, Manhandla, Digdogger, Gleeok, Aquamentus, and Medusa. Yeah. Medusa is the quintessential Zelda boss. A couple different patterns, pretty simple. She'll either sit in the middle and shoot balls in a circle. Those balls will petrify you if they hit you, so Link will turn to stone for a little bit. Or she'll spin around you and just be annoying and try and avoid you, or she'll be at the top and do a laser attack from the top, from side to side. So qdoe finished up with Dungeon 8. He's gonna be headed back to town to get his Maku Seed. The Maku Seed is going to allow him to access General Onyx's castle. Without it, there's a force field around the castle that he's unable to break through without it. But by having all 8 essences, the Maku Tree will give Link the seed that allows him to break the barrier. So you can already tell the effect that getting HSS skip first try for qdoe definitely swung the tide of this entire match. Pretty much nothing mattered other than HSS skip. That's one of the few things about this skip. Hey! Already got it. Finally. You can kind of get into that rhythm of just like just barely missing it each and every time. But it's good to see him finally get through. He'll get to finish up the run now. Meanwhile, qdoe into Onyx's castle. He's got 3 rooms of enemies that he has to fight. He's got Wizrobes, then Darknuts, and Floor Masters, and then the last room is good old boy Facade. So Facade, we actually get to see him this time. And he's got 3 attacks. There's the Fireball, which is very nice because his hitbox stays out for a very long time. There's the Holes, where he just like instantly disappears and starts creating a bunch of holes all over the place. And then there's the Spiders, which can potentially refill your bombs if you kill them. But it doesn't matter because qdoe is into General Onyx's fight. Phase 1 complete. He's just got to take a couple spin slashes. Then after, you know, a handful of spin slashes, he brings out Din as a meat shield. And we actually use Din to get double hits. So every time you hit Din, like, you get electrocuted. And if you do a spin slash, your spin slash gets stuck there. So by the time you get electrocution finishes, Onyx's invulnerability frames are done with, and you can get a second hit in per spin. So that speeds up the fight at the cost of a little bit of health. And then phase 3, he turns into a dragon. It's essentially Sigma from Mega Man X. You just jump from hand to hand, hitting the crystal on his forehead. After enough hits, he dies, and that is going to be time for qdoe, who has finished in an official SRL time of 1 hour, 58 minutes, and 15 seconds. So yeah, his timer was off in relation to the race itself. So congratulations to qdoe on the victory. He will be facing Phenomenon 714 in the next round. Let's see if he wants to come in for an interview. So while we're waiting for qdoe to jump in, Herrete is onto Medusa. Fun fact about Medusa when she does the circling pattern, if you manage to get her at the top of her circle on the door, she gets stuck there. So you can get a pretty easy hit in. So Herrete heading back to town, getting his Maku seed before heading over to Onyx's castle. And it looks like we are joined by qdoe. Congratulations on the victory. So, how do you feel the run went?
I feel like I was absolutely carried by the first try. But Dungeon 7 was pretty good. Other than that, it was pretty mediocre, I guess.
Yeah, first try HSS, first try post skip. Both of them really helping you out.
I even did HSS skip setup once, and it worked out, so I won the 50-50.
Yeah, I saw you didn't set up the subpixels, and you still got it.
Yeah, that's something I've been going for, but that was the first time, so that felt really good. But I made sure to hit the button, so what happened in my last race just didn't happen again, so...
Yeah, you always want to hit the button after the HSS skip.
Yep, definitely learned that the hard way last week, so...
I mean, if you're in like a PB attempt, you can skip it, but in like a race setting, you definitely want to have that safety net.
Yeah. Yeah, overall, pretty decent run. Feel bad about having it ended up
Yeah, the race had I feel like a certain other race that you were in, where a certain someone was ahead at HSS skip and then got bodied by it.
I wonder which race that was.
Yeah, Herrete was leading for most of the race, and then it just took him quite a few tries to get through HSS skip.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that just happens with HSS skip. Great equalizer, I guess I've heard it called.
Also, you went ringless, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, Herrete, he went with the power ring, so that gave him a little bit of a buffer.
Power ring has been interesting to me, but I haven't had the opportunity to learn either of the minutes for the rings.
Yeah, power ring looks really interesting, especially like considering how quickly some of the bosses and enemies die.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you take damage, you're gonna be dying pretty quickly.
Right. So I probably would have died on Oculus.
And Herreteman finishing up with a great Dronix stun lock. He finishes with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 4 minutes, and 16 seconds. GG to both of you guys.
GG to Herreteman.
And I know it's late for him. I think he said he wasn't going to be able to interview. But I'll just ask just in case. So another thing that kind of swung the tides throughout the race was in Dungeon 4, Herreti, he forgot to finish the puzzle with the pot pushing. He pushed most of the pots, but then he just didn't get the key.
Huh.
And he ended up finding out right before the boss key when he couldn't open the key block. And he had to go back and do the pushing again.
Yeah, Dungeon 4, there's a lot of things, if you forget them, then you've just thrown away so much time. So, like, for instance, I've forgotten to ride the minecart before saving and quitting, you know, after Agonima, and then you just lose forever because you need to go through most of the dungeon again
Oh yeah.
to reset the minecart.
So next up you've got Phenomenon 714. What are your thoughts going into next week's race?
Well, I'm not super optimistic, I'll be honest. But I don't know, I guess if I find enough time to practice and Phenomenon chokes the heck out of his run, then maybe I've got a chance.
Hey, if you've got a chance, if you're in it, you got a chance. That's
Yeah?
as long as you're playing, something can happen.
Yeah, I suppose so.
You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah? I don't know, I've got a pretty good idea of what's going to happen, but I guess we'll see whenever the race happens.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, thank you for the great race. GG on the victory.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you for Speed Gaming again for hosting the races that we are doing for the Oracle Seasons Tournament. Just as a reminder, if you want to watch anything else, there are some other things going on the Speed Gaming sister networks. There is Ori and the Blind Forest Randomizer going on Speed Gaming 3. That is going to be going on for a little bit longer. Looks like you've got a link to the past randomizer going on Speed Gaming 1. And I think you're probably going to start catching Zelda 1 randomizer on Speed Gaming 2. Doesn't look like there's going to be anything else on this channel for the rest of the night. So if you want anything else from Speed Gaming, go ahead and check out one of the other channels. Otherwise, we do have more Oracle Seasons races. I do believe there's one more scheduled for this weekend. Let me just pull that up real quick. Yes, we do have the race between Mighty and Black on Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Definitely keep an eye on the schedule. Check out what channel that ends up being on. Yeah, we will definitely see you guys later. For everyone at the Speed Gaming Network, my name is Mashy. You've been watching Oracle Seasons. Thank you and have a good night.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone.